Hey everyone, thanks for coming to the channel. Appreciate you coming back if you're a subscriber. If you're not, please hit the subscribe button down there below. Everything that I'm showing you today, well, most of it's going to be linked down below in the description, so that'll help you find. So today we're going to talk about Suburban, food prepping, water prepping, just the basics to start out, what to do first. If you haven't seen my video on water storage, please go back to the channel and view that one first, because I think that's the most critical one that you can start with is water. Whatever the disaster or emergency is, the first thing you want to do is stockpile as much water as possible. One of the best things you can do is start filling up the tub. Water heater outside is another option as well. Just get it done. So this thing is really useful. It's called a water bob, and I've had these sitting around for many years. Get them on Amazon, and it allows you to fill up the water in the tub and keep it sealed so you have immediate clean drinking water straight out of the tap, and it keeps it from going down the drain, seeping, whatnot. Keeps it fresh. Keep it stashed right near each tub in your home, and that way you'll be able to quickly retrieve it, unfold it, and fill it up. I'm not saying drink out of the toilet, but there's 1 to 2 gallons in here to use for later. Don't flush it. We're going to talk about the food storage here in just about a minute. But the other video that I mentioned about the water storage barrels I think is really important, especially for those of you who do not have much space in your property to store water or food. So please reference that, and I think it'll be very useful. In a pinch, and even if you had to bug out, get yourself some of these life straws. There's also a portable water pump. Just make sure you have a lot of backups. The water heater, immediately on top of the list, along with filling up the tub and all that stuff. Once you filled up the tub and everything else, outside buckets, whatever, shut the water heater off so it's isolated from the source. You got 50 to 60 gallons of fresh, clean water in there. And every once in a while, make sure you drain out, if your water heater's old, drain out the rust. Keep that thing flushed regularly, at least once a month. So here I got everything all laid out and organized. There's a pile there of 20 pounds of rice, and I think approximately 20 pounds of beans. 20 pounds of rice, 1 cup per person per day, family of 4, go about a month. So looking at this stash, I'd say maybe 3 months, 4 months max with a family of 4. But if things are really extreme, you're going to buckle down and eat less. Everybody's situation's different. Your space is not going to be the same as my space. So for me, it gets pretty hot outside in the summer, and so sheds are not an option for me. Garage gets hot. Crawl space, though, stays pretty consistent, and I've stored wine down here and other food products as well in sealed containers. So I know that this area will work. And with the short buckets that I ordered, they'll fit, and I can stash probably anywhere from 10 to 15 of them down here. Obviously, we've had rats and mice issues, so we're going to try to mitigate that with, baits, traps, and then sealing up the containers that we're using so that the scent isn't getting out and tempting them. In the past, I've just bought these pre-filled, pre-made food buckets, off of Amazon or Costco or whatever. This one's in Augustin Farms, red wheat, stores for a long time. But today I'm showing you how to do your own food storage to save a little bit of money, because these things are expensive. Crawl space, not much room, but I know that I can get those little buckets in here, and yeah, it's ugly down here, but we're gonna seal them up real good. Okay, so you got your water plan, good. You got where you're gonna store your food. You got an idea of where you're going to put it and how it's going to fit and how you can control the climate the best you can. Can rats and mice chew through plastic? Absolutely. They'd rip right through this plastic bucket in a heartbeat. But there's some things you can do so that they aren't tempted. You know, whatever you're putting in there has to be sealed and covered, and you can't have the scent or else they will go in. Okay, so let's start with the buckets. I got two different sizes so that I could go under the crawl space because there's not a lot of room in there. So I can't use a 5-gallon bucket. It's got to be short buckets, which means you're gonna have to have a lot more of them. And the selection out there really sucks. I thought these were gonna be great. I do have a link down in the description. I can't remember if these are like a 4-gallon. I think these are maybe a 2.5 or a 3. But anyway, I'll put the links down there because I'm gonna make them work. The first problem I had with these, I really liked the way the lid was. It had this little latch thing on it. I thought, oh, that's cool. It's really secure. And then the seller did not put these gaskets in there. And the reason they didn't was because people found out that with the gasket in there, you can't hardly latch the damn thing. And you have to actually sit on it in order to get it latched. And then eventually, this little lip here bends up and these things can pop off to the side. I haven't had any come off completely yet. Okay, if you've ever owned an RV or a trailer or anything, you had a problem with mice, more than likely, when you put that electrical cord down there onto the hookup at the RV park or the campground or whatever. RVers know that fabric softeners, mice hate them. It won't work 100%, but they hate the smell, and sometimes it just masks the smell of whatever you got laying around in there. So my wife threw a bunch of fabric softeners all over under the cabinets and all that, and it probably reduced our mouse problem while camping by 90%. Problem is, if you have this in with that, you're gonna have fabric softener tasting beans. So my plan is to use these Mylar bags, which also help preserve whatever it is that you're putting in there. And then throw in these oxygen absorbers inside of that. And then the fabric softener goes on the outside. Okay, best food to store is dry goods, like beans, small red beans, black beans, lentils, pinto beans, all the stuff that's a pain in the ass to cook because you gotta use water and you gotta boil it and it takes forever to do that. We all like this instant stuff. But this is what's gonna last the longest. Rice, that's another one. Can last almost forever. Longer probably than you if, Red Dawn happens and they're parachuting into your neighborhood. Second one, pasta. These little elbow bags, I don't know, $1, $2 each maybe. The rice, I wanna say was like $3 each. The lentils, $1.92. No, the macaroni was $1.92. The mashed potatoes instant at Walmart was $1.88 per box. Now, talking about the finances here, I went to a grocery outlet place and I looked to see if they were cheaper than Walmart. And what I found was that they're not any cheaper, but they come in bigger bags. So you could get, let's say, a 20-pound bag of rice altogether for about the same price as you can get these total at Walmart. And I got to thinking, and I'm like, well, we don't really want to unpackage the whole 20-pound bag of rice because we're only going to feed, just a small family. So why not buy the separate ones at Walmart, put them in the Mylar bags, and then put them in the bucket. That way, when I open the Mylar bag, I can open this one bag, work on it, and then leave the rest for later. Same thing goes with the beans, these little tiny bags. I was like, okay, there's a 5-pound bag, but I'm like, well, it's only just a little bit more money. I'm talking like 30 cents a bag more to get the small bags. So anyway, you get the idea with why you need so much water, because all this stuff takes water to cook. So you gotta have a ton of water if you can. Second choice here, or actually this is the third, behind the rice, beans, pasta, would be these instant mashed potatoes. They're really easy and they don't take as much water. And then I was like, okay, well, why be boring? Just grab a couple of these packs of this roasted garlic stuff. And you know, you could sprinkle a little bit in one of the servings that you make and just spice things up if you guys are getting bored. Next, you know, just the basic stuff, a little bit of sugar. You're not gonna get a lot of the good stuff like sugar because you're more focused on getting your carbs and staying alive just in general. Flour, that's kind of a pain because you don't know if you're gonna have the ability to cook much, but I got some. I mean, you never know. You could make little tiny pancakes or something. Baking powder is important for cooking. Instant dry milk is expensive, but I think it's an important little bonus to have. And yeast. This is not gonna store well. If this gets warm at all, it's gonna go bad. So oil is kind of a risky deal, but who cares? If it goes bad, you throw it away. If it doesn't go bad, good, you can use it. Peanut butter powder. This stuff is super expensive, but again, it's one of those luxury items and you know, it's gonna store for quite a while. But obviously it takes water, takes water, takes water. Do you see the point here? So one thing to remember, I'm gonna point out, this is just one shopping run and I spent $143 total on all this stuff. And so, you know, it's just a start. I've got other things out there that I did back in 2020 when we thought the earth was going to end because of COVID, which it didn't. But it kind of showed you better have some shit on hand, even in these small events, just in case. And no, I'm not storing toilet paper. We have a garden hose out there and I have shop rags. Anyway, so here's more luxury items, popcorn. This stuff stores really well and could be a nice treat. It's got some carbs. Now we're really getting fancy. Throw some of these in there and just make sure your family doesn't know about it because you don't want them going for this first. This is just maybe like when the asteroid's about to hit the earth, you bust out the Nature Valley sweet and salty nut, dark chocolate, peanut, and almond bars. Candies, simple candies, hard candies. Those store well. Here's another luxury item. And yeah, this stuff won't last for, I don't know, I couldn't even guess. It might be okay in 2 years. This one says it'll go 2 years from now. So I'm guessing it's probably still edible in 4 years. I don't know. Okay, so the food storing planning and strategy here. I was thinking, okay, maybe I can throw all these elbow macaroni boxes in here, and no, they don't fit. So what I'm gonna do is open the box. I'm gonna cut off, uh-oh. I guess there's no bag. I assumed there was a bag in there full of macaroni, but so now what I'm gonna have to do is just put it directly in one of these Mylar bags, which is what I was gonna do anyway. And then once I get rid of the packaging, maybe they'll all fit in one of these. I might have to go to a bigger one, but anyway, you get the idea. You just throw what you got in each bucket. Will all the rice fit in there? Yeah, it's gonna go. Just work on it a little bit more, put the Mylar around it, it'll fit. So there's one bucket with rice. Try and keep everything in its own bucket and you label it on the outside. That way you know what you got. All these beans and lentils, those will fit probably in one of these small buckets. So you see, that's what I'm doing. I'm just trying to fit the food to the size of bucket that I have. And these things can be stored all over the house. You can stack them up. That's why I like the square ones. Stack them up in the corner, go be, you know, in the closet, whatever. This I know has plastic. These bad boys, these mashed potatoes, they do not have plastic on the inside either. So I'm probably gonna have to just put the Mylar bag over them and stuff them in the bucket. And obviously these will go in a small bucket. So these Mylar bags, it's kind of a roll of the dice on what fits and what doesn't. These little bags aren't gonna probably fit anything unless I split up the macaroni. So I'll probably use that for that. And then you got these middle-sized bags here that you could do individual stuff like the dry milk. And the big bags here obviously are too big for these buckets, but that's the biggest size you can get. So anyway, I put the Mylar bag in there, throw a little strip of fabric softener on the side, and then we just start loading up the rice and just make it conform. All right, so I was able to get 4 of those 5-pound bags of rice in there and still have enough room at the top here to put the lid on. Now I'm gonna throw in the oxygen, what are these things called? Oxygen eater or oxygen absorbers. So you wanna get the ones that are sealed separately. You don't wanna get the whole bag full, because it's like, you know, once you open one, then it's already doing its work. So get the separately packaged ones. I'll have links down in the description. And throw it in there. There it is. Now we're gonna seal up the top, close it up. Little tricky getting all the air out and sealing this thing up properly, but it was doable and I got most of the air out. And that's why I use the oxygen absorber, so that it can continue working. So we've got the food smell isolated inside the Mylar bag. This also protects against UV, but that's not gonna be a problem because it's gonna be dark. And then once again, we have the fabric softeners on the outside. So hopefully rat men won't be able to smell their way in. All right, so if you look at the review on these buckets, the ones with these latches, it's hit or miss. People hate them, they love them, whatever. What I found was I'm gonna use a gasket to keep it sealed, that way it keeps the moisture out. And I'm also gonna sit on top of the bucket and clamp that thing over, and then I'm gonna duct tape it or Gorilla tape it. Now I got this thing latched. But you can see how this probably is gonna pop off that lip after a while. So got your Gorilla tape on there, nice and flush. And then I'm gonna do a wrap around the outside. All right, there it is. And I did look this up. These are 4-gallon buckets. And the dimensions, I'll go grab a tape. So this fit 4 5-pound bags of rice. See here I got the what's in it, that it's in Mylar. That tells you it can last longer. And the date, so you know when to refresh your stock. Anyway, this bucket, the 4-gallon one, is 14 inches tall and bottom's 8 inches wide, top overall about 10 or 11 inches. So just for your planning purposes, if you go down your crawl space and you know how tall it is, this will help you out. I'm sorry for the shaky camera thing here, but anyway, 14 inches. And then these blue buckets are 3.5 gallon. Looks like about 11.5 inches with the lid, tall, and about 9.5 wide. So those are all down in the bottom for the Amazon link. So now we gotta get this loose stuff in these bags. And I'm gonna go ahead and take and pour the macaroni into the 1-gallon bags. Since this is a 3.5 gallon bucket, I can probably get 3 in there and just combine a couple boxes. This kit with the Mylar bags is kind of cool because it comes with a 5 gallons, 1 gallons, and then quart bags. And then it also came with some bag clips and the oxygen absorbers. And I know there's gonna be enough of those to throw in there, and it's food safe. So that'll preserve the macaroni. Just stored in these boxes, it wouldn't last that long. But in the Mylar bags with the oxygen absorbers, it'll go a lot farther. Wish I had another hand. That'd be 3 hands. That wouldn't look good on the body. Okay, well anyway, I'm not gonna bore you with that. Okay, so these are 2-pound bags of macaroni, and or boxes. So 4 pounds will go into one of these 1-gallon Mylar bags, and then we throw an oxygen absorber in it. So I got all the macaroni in there. There's, let's see, 4, and 4. So that's 12 pounds of macaroni. And I had to lay these bags flat and kind of flatten them out to get them to fit perfect, but they're perfect in there. And then I got the fabric softener on the side. One thing about these little 3.5-gallon buckets I didn't like was you put this lid on and it's permanent. And the only way to get it off, which I found, was to peel off that little strip. It's kind of like the chemical buckets. You buy something and then you got to peel the strip off, and then it's not sealed very well. But it's okay because these are going to be long-term storage. And I'm only going to pull them out either to refresh it or to use it. So that's fine. It's okay that they're permanent. And this one lid that I already used, I'll just duct tape it, Gorilla tape it around there. But since we got rid of the boxes and I don't know exactly what it is that's in there, I'm gonna go ahead and cut the tabs or the info off of this and throw it in there, including the expiration date, so I'll know exactly what I can expect when I open the bucket. Okay, so through the video, you're sitting there going, why don't you just use a food saver? Well, I do, but I prefer the Mylar bags because they're stronger and they tend to not let the scent out as much. Yes, the food saver sucks more air out, but with oxygen absorbers, it doesn't really matter that much. So this guy, 1 pound of sugar, will not fit in the quart Mylar bag. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that in here and then put it in a bucket. So anyway, here's your food saver. If you don't have one, you probably should. But if you're here, you probably already have one. So put that in there. We'll seal it up with an oxygen absorber and put it in the bucket. Links below. Nice and tight. So the mashed potatoes, yeah, I didn't know they didn't come in a plastic bag inside the box, but that's all right. I got a ton of these quart size bags, which is pretty good for, you know, a serving. And then we'll just throw the oxygen absorber in there. And so half of one of these boxes filled up a comfortable area of the quart size Mylar bags. All right, so we got the box cut out here, and we got, out of 4 boxes, we got 8 bags. And according to this, if we cut that in half, it's going to be 9 servings per bag, and prepared it'll be a half cup. So yeah, that's a decent meal. Obviously this is probably only good for 8 days, but you know, you got to have something so you can make stuff last longer if you package it separately like this. Got room for our 2 pounds of milk and our fancy potatoes. So I'll throw all that in there, and these, when I sniff them, I can't smell anything on the outside, so I'm just gonna leave those packaged as is. And same thing with the milk, it's sealed up pretty well. So just gonna go with that. Being dry, it should store pretty good. Put the label on it and then we'll be good to go. So I figured an extra layer of protection in case this thing springs a leak, and also to reduce on the scent. Went ahead and food savored that one, and also the yeast, but I made sure I could see the back, you know, for the expiration and information on it. That way you know what you got when you crack them open if you're gonna refresh stuff. So, and also, you know, having this stuff separately packaged will reduce the chance of cross-contamination or whatever. All right, that is what $147 looks like, not counting the buckets and everything, of quick food stash supplies. Got 2 buckets left, a bunch of oxygen absorbers, and a bunch of Mylar bags. All right, please hit the subscribe button, hit that like button, come back to the channel, check out all the other channel videos, and thanks for watching.